For more on this, we're now joined by Chief State Veterinarian at the Northwest Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, and his name is Dr. Edson Manombe, and he joins us now via our video link. Dr. Edson, thank you so much for your time. Let's start off here. For those who don't know, what is rabies?
Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers. Thank you for having me. So rabies, it's a viral disease which affects the central nervous system of mammals, which means basically the warm-blooded animals. It involves the domestic and wild mammals. So domestic ones, we are talking of cattle, sheep, goats, and also dogs and cats. The wildlife, it's your jackals, your kudus, and your yellow mongoose. So it's a fatal disease which is also a zoonotic, which means it can also spread to humans. So it can be spread to humans by especially infected dogs and cats. They can also spread it to their friendly keepers, which are humans.
And the outbreak, this latest outbreak in Mamusa in the Northwest, do we know how this one started?
We have been having red flags, which means we have been testing some jackals and they were coming out positive. So farmers would report that there are jackals which are actually encroaching their farmyard, which means the jackals would be rabid. They lose the fear of humans, so they encroach the farmyard, and then some of them are involved in dog fights with the farmers' dogs. Some of them will be found dead near the farmyard, so we had to test them. So we've been seeing these red flags late last year, but this year, starting in February, that's when we picked some, cattle, sheep, and goats, which would change behavior and showing the signs of rabies. So when we sent the samples to OVI in Pretoria, the samples came back negative. So it started in Mamusa, spread to some farms nearby to Lipatimani municipality. So these have been commercial farms, but now recently we have picked up 2 cases of cattle in villages, one in a village called Morokweng, the other one in a village called Picho.
And when it comes to the symptoms and, for especially those with, furry friends in their homes, how does one identify the symptoms of rabies and, the possibility of their animals perhaps having rabies?
Yeah, so since I said it affects the central nervous system, so the common finding is that there is a change of behavior. So if you are having a dog or a cat in the house, it can suddenly change behavior. Your normally quiet dog can be aggressive. Your normally aggressive dog can go quiet. So it's just basically the change of behavior. So in dogs and cats, you see them, they can turn aggressive, like I said, or they turn dumb. But you also then start seeing drooling of saliva, the copious amounts of saliva. You start seeing them, biting anything that comes to their contact. So it just shows those changes that, the central nervous system have been affected. But mainly we also see that in cattle and sheep and goats. So our rabies cases are mainly in ruminants. So they spread from jackals to ruminants. So in ruminants, you mainly see that they become aggressive. Like the one that we picked in Morokweng, where the cow actually entered the yard in the village, and when they tried to capture it on video, it actually chased them into the house. So it's just that aggressive behavior, and then they tend to produce a hoarse bellowing sound, which is so abnormal and very horsey. So it's those changes that normally show the signs that, something wrong here and something has affected the central nervous system, which most probably is rabies.
And of course, as a department, you've now undertaken to vaccinate, those animals and livestock in Daung. Just tell us about this process. I have figured that you are going house to house and to various communities to try and ensure that those animals get the necessary vaccination.
Yes, like the adage that goes saying prevention is better than cure, in this case, it typically applies. So the rabies vaccine is very effective, and we are encouraging farmers to really vaccinate their cats and dogs, their domestic animals. So we are there to assist them. They just have to contact us. The reason why we had to be to go door to door is to try to make sure that we vaccinate as many pets as possible, since they are the ones which might spread the disease to humans, which becomes very fatal. So we are trying to make sure that we vaccinate all the dogs in the communal areas. It's winter. Some of the farmers starting to go out hunting, which means their dogs will end up fighting with jackals in the wild. So we want them to be protected against rabies. So that's why we are intensifying the vaccination program. We are also encouraging farmers to make sure that all their livestock are vaccinated as well, both commercial and communal. So we are also partnering with the private vets in the area who are also vaccinating livestock. But we are there to vaccinate all the pets, whether in farms and in villages, to make sure that all the pets are protected, and we sort of create a barrier to make sure that there's no spread to human beings.
What has been the response from farmers in the Northwest, as well as, community members? Are they willing to get their animals vaccinated?
Yes, the response has been so massive, and we really appreciate that. We went out engaging the tribal authority, engaging the commercial farmers. The response is very good, and we really appreciate that. We did some awareness in various schools as well, because we're trying to teach the learners in different schools. We did some community meetings as well. So the response has been good, and it also caught our eyes that farmers are reporting more cases where they see any change in behavior of their animals in the farms or in the villages. So the response is very good, and we keep on encouraging them to continue bringing their pets for vaccination, to continue reporting any suspicious cases of rabies to our local state veterinary offices.
And how long will you continue with this vaccination program?
Well, we are going to do that throughout the year. We historically would concentrate the vaccination, say, around September, which is the rabies month, but the risk is too high. We can't wait for that. So we are all out vaccinating dogs throughout the year now. We've got enough stock of rabies vaccine, so we'll try to make sure that we vaccinate all the dogs and cats that are presented to us as we go out doing our awareness and vaccination campaigns.